So we are in episode 2 of the recovery series, and we have a lot of topics to talk about.
It's what you want, it's what you need, we about to give you more.
So let's go ahead and talk about the recovery house, in which I did tell you in episode 1 that I was going to add the clip in there. So I'm going to do that right now and let you know about the recovery house. So the recovery home was immaculate. It was beautiful. It was more than I expected. Honestly, I've never been to a recovery house, so I didn't have any expectations at first. But it was very clean. All the nurses there were very attentive. Some cons, though. I did have some pros, but I do have some cons as well.
Seems like ever since the first day we met, there is no one else I think of more than you. Can't seem to forget, can't get you out my head. Guess the verdict's in, I'm crazy over you. How can one be down? Tell me where to start, 'cause every time you smile, I feel tremors.
Some of the cons, I guess, were, like I say, the needles. In episode 1, I talked about how they only had 1 gauge of needles. And I did get stuck maybe twice or whatnot. But what helped the nurse was a vein finder, in which I took a picture of it, so I'll insert a picture here. And yeah, she used this nice vein finder, and I thought that was really cool. So that she had to stick me multiple times and just get the vein. Also, their IVs are a little different. They don't have like IV pumps like the US. They have, they just hang the bags and they set their own drip rate. Nurse talk. But they set their own drip rate and they let the bag hang and release the fluids without having to put anything in there as far as in the time frame or how long it's supposed to last and drip. And during that time, I believe in the medications that they gave me like an antibiotic, which was prophylactically used so that I wouldn't get like an infection or some sort like that. They made sure that I had fluids so that I stayed hydrated, especially since I wasn't able to consume a lot of water. With that being said, one of the cons too was I said the nurses were attentive, and they were attentive, but they was attentive too much, a little bit too much. Like, every time I woke up, like, the nurse literally scared me one day, like, one of those days. I literally woke up, and she was standing over me, looking at me. Like, she came in throughout the night. I know you have to check on me, but she came in so many freaking times where when I got up, I went to lock the door. I literally locked the door. And what scared me even more, when I woke back up, she was staring at me, like, over my head, looking at me like, lady, didn't I lock the door? How did you get in here? How did you get here? That was my song. Like, that's what I was singing. So anyways, I tried to translate with my phone because not very many of the nurses, only 1 or 2, like, they knew part English, some parts of English. Sometimes they just smiled and didn't really understand. And I'm talking with my mask on because I'm at an appointment with my uncle. So I have to have my mask on. So, like I said, I used my phone to translate because they did have Wi-Fi in the facility, although I didn't have any sort of service. So if you have Straight Talk and you going to Mexico, that is not going to work. They say they have international calls and stuff like that, but they had no service, so Straight Talk be straight lying. So with that being said, how did I talk to my family? I communicated with my family through WhatsApp. So I highly suggest downloading that app so that you can be able to make phone calls, especially if you have like issues like I had as far as service. That was a great way of communicating. I could text on the app. I can video call on the app. That was such a wonderful thing to have. So what did we eat? We had Jello. I looked at the Jello. I didn't like it. We had some Gatorade. They bought me Gatorade. And I liked it, the Gatorade, actually.
Alright, he's done.
But, okay, so I'll be back in just a moment. So, y'all, I am back. I am back at home. And we were really interrupted, but that's completely fine. I wasn't at home, so that was to be expected. I just wanted to get a portion of the video already completed. I had just talked about the Gatorade and the Jello. I think I didn't like the Jello because of the texture. It was like a different kind of texture. But they kept running me that Gatorade. And actually, when they first gave Gatorade, the whole time, it wasn't sugar-free. So it gets me when they talk about sugar-free. I know we're supposed to stay away from sugar. Don't get me wrong. But I'm trying to understand, if we are supposed to stay away from sugar, why are they giving us Gatorade, just full Gatorade and not sugar-free Gatorade? But it could negate us, you know, going into a mineral deficiency so quickly, or our body going into a shock because we switch from one thing to another one. So I guess that's understandable. And let's get into the broth. They did give us broth. I wish that I could have ordered like a takeout broth that was delivered, because being there, I believe 3 or 4 days. I believe I was there 4 days. Being there 4 days and that broth, the broth was good the first day. The second, third, fourth day, I kind of got tired of it, and it started to have a different smell to it. I just had to make myself drink it. So I suggest bringing some bouillon cubes or something like that, or some sort of broth that you can like make an instant broth. Not the Coors, because that has like high sodium, but a broth that you would normally use on your pre-op diet, in which I would have a video about the pre-op diet and everything that I chose to use during my pre-op, and also I would have a video about my post-op diet, the different stages that I went through in order to get to where I am currently. As I mentioned in the previous video, right now I am in my 9th month of the surgery, and I had the surgery back in April. So I'm just going over my notes and trying to catch up with my clips that I did take, so that I can give you guys some insight as to what happened while I was there. So the next thing would be, we couldn't leave out of the recovery house. So once you're in there, you couldn't even go outside to breathe some fresh air. Girl, you better left that window, in which I did leave my window in my room. And I ain't gonna get into my thought process, because I was about to tell y'all something, but then y'all would judge me, but I still wouldn't care. But yeah, for liability issues, we weren't allowed to leave outside of that door at all. So let's get into the stigmatism with Mexico and America. And a lot of people look down because people go from America to Mexico. They think we're not getting adequate care. They think it's subpar care. They think it's just a mess. Why would you do that? They're so judgmental. But like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, people do it for certain reasons. So never be so judgmental, because you never know what you would do if you were in that predicament. Also, I'm going to have a video about opinions and opinions of people, because I think people play too much off of people's opinions, and they won't live their best life. We don't get into that in the series as well. Let's talk about leaving, y'all. Nobody ever talks about the leaving part, and I don't know where to start. Okay, we left, and I will show clips of me riding through the city as we were leaving, and I'll insert that here.
Hey, you know the one love is, and you know put up a fight. I need you to know to get you right. You know the one love is, and you know put up a fight. You know the one love is.
already saw that, you know, the leaving process. But let's get into the border because that's where we're going now. Nobody told me that they sell stuff at the border. Like, they had so many different things, and I'm going to show you a clip of the guys coming up to the medical van because we actually had a medical lane where we didn't have to be in line with all the people because the line was so backed up. We would have been waiting forever. But people was coming in there. They were selling purses, necklaces, bracelets, necklaces. They probably was selling wigs. I ain't see that, but they were selling foods. They walk into people's cars. They had like whole lot of things on them. Nobody ever said that. Like, the little cash I had, it was spent on this problem that I had with these people. Like I said, I feel like I got gypped for the second time. I don't think I'm gonna put this in this episode, but keep following the series and I will tell you guys about the second time I got gypped. Basically how I felt like I got gypped. But no one ever talked about the border, so make sure you bring some extra cash to buy you a stash, buy you something very nice, because the stuff that they were selling were really nice. Like I say, they had nice purses, things you can bring back as keepsakes or, you know, souvenirs for your family. They had it all there. Going to the airport, we made it to the airport around 10:30, which was quite early. They told you do not schedule your flights before 3 o'clock, in which I scheduled my flight, I believe, for 5 p.m. or so. Had no idea that we would make it to the airport so early, and I was like, I'm gonna be here forever.